Here is the secret that nobody at the dealership will ever tell you. Every single Porsche looks basically the same. If you lined up a $60,000 Macan next to a $300,000 GT2 RS, your cousin who doesn't care about cars genuinely wouldn't know the difference. They share the same badge, the same iconic silhouette, and the same golden crest. But under that skin, they are from completely different planets. This isn't a design flaw, it's the entire game. Porsche is the only brand in the world where the entry-level price to just walk through the door is $63,000. Yet, there is still a waiting list. There are people out there with 3 Porsches in the garage who are still pulling up the online configurator at 2 in the morning just to feel something. Today, we are breaking down the 7 levels of Porsche. We're going from the gateway drugs that pay the bills to the million-dollar assets that defy the laws of physics. If you don't know which level you're looking at, you're missing the point of the brand.
This is the guide Porsche doesn't want you to read. Let's get into it.
Level 1 is the entry point, and for the vast majority of the world, that means the Macan. It is the best-selling Porsche in the world. Not the 911, not the Cayenne. Porsche knows exactly what they're doing here. The Macan is the bait. It starts around $63,000, which sounds like a lot until you realize it's the cheapest way to get that golden crest on your steering wheel. But here's what they don't advertise. The base Macan uses a 2.0-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with 261 horsepower. If that engine sounds familiar, it's because it's the same family of engine you'd find in an Audi or a Volkswagen. Porsche shares a parent company with them, and at this entry level, you can actually feel that shared DNA. It's a respectable car, 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds, but for a Porsche, it's the slowest entry point the brand has offered in decades. The Macan isn't about raw speed, it's about the chassis. It feels like a 911 on stilts. It's the car you buy when you want to tell yourself you're being a responsible adult, but you still want a low-key flex on the soccer moms in their Teslas. Pro tip: if you're at this level, buy used. A 2-year-old Macan lets someone else eat the steepest part of the depreciation curve. Level 1 is the lobby of the building. It gets you inside, but the real party is upstairs.
Now we move to level 2, and this is where the engineering starts to slap you in the face. We're talking about the 718 Cayman and BOXSTER.
If the Macan is about the badge, the 718 is about the balance. These cars are mid-engine, meaning the weight is centered between the wheels. This creates a near-perfect 50-50 weight distribution. When you take a Cayman into a corner, it doesn't fight you, it listens. It rotates naturally, almost like it's reading your mind. Most automotive journalists will tell you, off the record of course, that the Cayman is actually a better balanced driver's tool than the legendary 911. The base 718 starts in the mid-$70,000 range, but it's a pure sports car experience. You lose the back seats and the trunk is so small you can barely fit your ego in there, but you gain the biggest smile per dollar in the entire lineup. This is the first level where Porsche's real driving DNA shows up. Once you feel that mid-engine rotation, you finally get it. Level 3 is where we find the cars that actually keep the lights on in Stuttgart, the Cayenne and the Panamera. Let's talk about the Cayenne first. In the late 90s, Porsche was quietly failing. They were weeks away from being absorbed by Volkswagen. Then they released an SUV. The purists went nuclear. They said Porsche was selling its soul, but then every single one of those purists bought one. The Cayenne saved the company. Every 911 GT3 or Le Mans program for the last 20 years was funded by Cayenne buyers. It's a 2-ton beast that somehow drives like it ate a 911 for breakfast. It can carry the kids, the Labrador, and a Costco haul, all while hitting 60 miles per hour in time that would embarrass a 2010-era sports car. Then there's the Panamera. This is the sedan that shouldn't exist. It's a four-door spaceship designed for the executive who has a board meeting in the morning but still wants to feel something on the drive home. It's a 200-mile-per-hour luxury lounge. At this level, the price starts at $92,000 and can easily double. You're buying trickle-down technology from Porsche's endurance racing programs. It's the level of I want it all and I want it now. We've reached level 4, the 911 Carrera. This is where Porsche stops being a car company and becomes a religion. The 911 has existed since 1963 with the same basic concept: engine in the back, 2 usable seats, and a silhouette that is timeless. Now, basic physics says putting a heavy engine behind the rear axle is a bad idea. It should be unstable. It should be unpredictable. Porsche's response? They spent 60 years engineering around that flaw until the flaw became the defining feature. The rear engine layout creates insane traction and a unique feeling of pivoting through corners. It is a skill-based car. It rewards you the harder you push it. The base 911 starts around $120,000, but it's more than a car. It's an asset. A 911 has one of the lowest depreciation rates in the world. It's a way to park your money that also happens to do 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. If the 911 had a dating profile, it would just say loyal, iconic, and will make your friends jealous. If you talk to the real Porsche people, the enthusiasts who have owned 5 or 6 of them, they will tell you level 5 is the one you actually want. This is the GTS badge, Gran Turismo Sport. The GTS is the sweet spot because Porsche takes all the best performance options, the wider body, the sport suspension, the bigger brakes, and bakes them in as standard. It's the bridge between a comfortable daily driver and a hardcore track monster. The newest 911 GTS is a revolution. It features the T-hybrid system, the first hybrid 911 in history. But don't think Prius. This is pure performance. It uses an electric motor integrated into the turbocharger to completely kill turbo lag. The result is 532 horsepower and a 0 to 60 time of 2.9 seconds. It's actually faster to 60 than a GT3. For $170,000, it's probably the best 911 Porsche has ever made for the street. It's perfectly balanced right out of the box.
Like it's delirium, like it's delirium.
Now we cross a very serious line. Level 6 is about 2 very different ways to destroy a lap time: the GT3 and the Turbo S. The GT3 is not a road car that's fast. It's a track car that happens to be street legal. It uses a 4.0-liter naturally aspirated flat 6 that revs all the way to 9,000 RPM. At that speed, it doesn't sound like an engine anymore. It sounds like something mechanical is screaming at you. There are no turbos, no lag, no artificial torque. Every input is instant and honest. If you buy a 911 and never take it to a track day, you have missed the entire point of its existence. On the other side of this level is the 911 Turbo S. If the GT3 is a scalpel, the Turbo S is a sledgehammer. It's effortless destruction. With 640 horsepower and all-wheel drive, it does 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds. It's clinical. You put your foot down, and physics just apologizes to you. It manages its own aerodynamics in real time while you just sit there. It's the car you buy when you want to embarrass Ferraris at the stoplight, but still need to pick the kids up from school in comfort. This is the I Made It car. Finally, we reach level 7. These aren't really cars anymore. They are assets with steering wheels. We are talking about the GT2 RS, the Carrera GT, and the 918 Spyder. The GT2 RS is a monster. It takes the lightweight philosophy of the GT3 and combines it with the insane power of the turbo. 700 horsepower, sent exclusively to the rear wheels. It has a magnesium roof and carbon fiber wheels just to save a few pounds. It is the Widowmaker, a machine that demands your absolute skill and attention. Then there's the 918 Spyder, part of the holy trinity of hypercars. It features a mid-mounted V8 that revs to 9,000 RPM, paired with 2 electric motors. Total output, 887 horsepower. It was the first production car to break the 7-minute barrier at the Nürburgring. When it launched in 2013, it cost $845,000. Today, it's worth $2 to $3 million. It appreciates in value while it sits in a climate-controlled garage. This level represents what Porsche is capable of when profit margins aren't the primary constraint. From the Macan that funds the dreams to the 918 that defines them, Porsche has spent 60 years proving that obsessive precision can turn a flawed concept into the industry benchmark. They aren't the most rational cars, and they certainly aren't the cheapest, but no other brand makes you feel what a Porsche makes you feel. So, the real question is, if money were no object, which level would you take home? Are you the purist in a 718, the enthusiast in a GTS, or are you going for the divorce paper speed of a Turbo S? Let me know in the comments. If this breakdown helped you understand the levels of the crest, smash that subscribe button. We're diving into the tiers of Lamborghini next week, and you won't want to miss it. Stay legendary, drive safe.